but let me ask you a question. So as someone who prefers to meet people in person, you're still engaging with other people who are online in one way, shape, or another. So that world is still like meshed in with yours, whether you like it or not. So for instance,
yes,
if you're in a relationship with someone that you met in person, but that person, you know, they were online or they are actively on social media or you're on social media, like, do you ever feel like a pressure to interact with your partner online through social media? And do your partners ever have high expectations of you to represent them in social media, like post them or things like that? Does that have any impact in you, regardless of the fact that you met these people online? I mean, met these people in person?
Yeah, I mean, social media definitely has had an impact on me for sure. You know, being in, you know, on podcasts on YouTube every single week for the past 6 years, you know, like it's definitely weighed a lot, you know, even in relationships, you know, because sometimes like if I meet somebody in the DM, right, and we start talking, we start connection, we start a relationship, whatever, they understand that they know they came from the DM. So they also know that other women
wait.
Other women also are DMing me.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, it's a conversation that you have to have. Like, yeah, I met you through the DM. It doesn't mean that I'm continuing meeting other women and trying to date them in my DMs as well. You know, like social media connected us this way, but now this is where trust is, you know, in the game. And this is where you have to trust me, trust my character, and not suspect that I'm going to continue my singleness in a relationship, you know?
Yeah, but my question is, are you posting though?
Well, you post. Listen, it's a conversation. It's an honest conversation. I am not afraid to post at all.
Okay.
If we both are agreed upon doing that. So obviously I would want to post somebody who I know is going to be my wife. Like that's like, hey, this is because I've been in the public. I mean, I haven't had a public relationship where everybody knew in a while, because my relationship has been up and down, because I've been moving, because of the podcast, because of this, because of that. There's a lot of stuff going on. So it's like, if I'm going to announce you to the world, which I have no problem in, because I have no shame, because
shame, he says.
I got no shame. You look good. You like I have no shame in doing that.
You'll get me more followers.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not hiding you from nobody. You know, if people listen to the show, people know I'm in a relationship, you know, and
so you're in a relationship. You're in a relationship now.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your relationship or in past relationships, doesn't have to be this one.
Yeah.
In what way did social media impact your relationship now or the ones in the past in any capacity, good or bad?
Yeah, just like I was saying, like, you know, if the relationship started on social media, you know, they you know, they're going to think that I'm still using the same way I connected with them till, you know, in the relationship. So then you got, you know, women under comments that are saying things, and that's like, you know, who is this person? Why is she commenting? So that's always going to spark up a conversation, right?
And that's happened to you.
Oh yeah, that has happened to me for the past. I mean,
so your relationship would be in turmoil because of comments? No,
I didn't say that. I said start a conversation.
Oh, it starts a conversation. Okay.
It's not like my thing is like
because of comments.
It's crazy. It's a conversation of like, because you kind of have to have that conversation. How are we like? Okay, how are we going to be in person? How are we going to be online? Are you going to be talking to people in your DMs? Are you going to be messaging other people? Are you going to be doing this? Are you going to be doing that? A lot of people are having those conversations. So, and I understand me being in the social media light, she wants to have the conversation so she can have, you know, some peace of mind, which is fine. You know I'm not doing anything, so you can learn everything.
But does that pressure come because you're an influencer and you have like a lot of people who are, I don't know, in your social media space? Do you think that conversation is happening stronger because of that?
I think the pressure it's not only because I'm online. I think if you are a guy that they respect, that they admire, and they know other women are attracted to you.
Yeah.
Regardless, you online or not, like at least a figure of me, guys are having that issue.
Yes, but like if you're a guy that is a desirable person, right? Yeah. But let's say you're not on social media, or you're not as active, or you don't have that much influence on social media, right? Those guys do exist. Like I used to be that guy where like I do a lot of things. I travel, I do business things, and I'm into a lot of things that people are thinking is like, oh, this guy's got stuff going on, but I wasn't on social media like that, right? So the conversations about like a woman's insecurity was based on different things. But like if let's say I was like out there in social media and I had like all kinds of impact, like 1 million followers or whatever the hell it is, would the conversations be any different, or just slightly, based on more so what you do online because you have so much presence online?
No, yeah. I mean, the conversation will be 100% different. You know, if you're not online and you don't have a presence online, then the conversation will be it will be different.
Yeah.
Versus the guy that has the influence and is online, So I believe, and it also depends on the woman as well. If the woman is influenced and she uses social media as like, if she thinks like high regard of it.
Yeah.
She's going to want to know what you're doing as well. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially the young girls, I mean, the young ones, they live on social media. So it's like, TikTok is their life.
That is sad.
No, I mean, shoot, listen, brother, you ain't got to have that conversation.
But okay. So it's very easy to see how social media will impact you and your romantic relationships. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, given the fact that, people are protecting their relationships in so many ways, and now you have to deal with social media. It's probably another avenue to try and like protect your relationship.
And real quick, I think you have to have two parts. If you're going to date somebody that has some kind of social media influence, you got to kind of know that if I was to date a woman that's an IG model, I know that men are going to shoot regardless of me. Like, I understand that. So in a certain thing in reverse, you kind of have to know that other women are probably going to be attracted and probably going to say something. It's been a few times where people have came up to us in person and somebody has said hi. Now you have to know that those things are a possibility, and you kind of have to know trust this person, and trust his character or her character to move forward. You can't stop a lot of things from social media, and you gotta also know and have the self-awareness to think, am I this person that can handle that? I know for me, I'm not a guy that can handle an Instagram model. Have you ever dated an Instagram model? No, not to. I mean, define this. Give me a follower number. What makes her an Instagram model? It's not based on a number. It's not based on a number, right? It's not based on a number. You don't think so? I'm not saying you. I did. I'm saying it's based on what type of activity they do online, what type of posts that they put on their platform, and what do they use it for, right? So you could have somebody that has like tens and thousands of followers, or even hundreds of thousands of followers, but they're doing photography, or it's mainly about food, or it's like personal travel stuff or whatever, and they're really influential that way, right? Or they have like their coaches or whatever. But there's some people where it's just like bikinis, swimsuits, lingeries, like clothing lines. They're basically selling themselves physically. That's what I'm talking about, regardless of what the follower count is. So I'm assuming you haven't dated someone who's been in that space. No. Okay. If you did, what do you think your biggest concern would be? If they said, I'm loyal to you, this is just what I do for my business, so on and so forth. So if you dated... Oh, you trying to get some content today. Okay. I see what's going on. I mean, Lord, I mean, for me, it's not so much of like, if I'm dating you and I'm calling you my girl, I 100% trust you. Okay. Like, it's like, if there's any kind of doubt or anything, like, it's just no point even starting a relationship from jump, right? So it's much more of like you're still my girl, so you still got to represent me.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, I'm not saying that she has to stop anything or she shouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's much more of like, what are you selling online? Can I today, what you're doing right now, and if it is in alignment with my value, do I agree with it?
Okay, fair enough.
Am I okay with my mom seeing your Instagram? Ooh. Am I okay with my sister seeing your Instagram? You know what I mean? Am I okay to kind of have that attached to me? Okay. Because you gotta think about it. I'm not famous. I'm not. I'm noticeable. I'm noticeable.
I'm handsome, but not famous.
I'm not famous, right? So that me being noticeable means that people are going to look at my girl and see part of me as well. Got it. So what you kind of represent, I have to be in agreement and alignment with that. Okay. So it that's kind of just what it is. It doesn't matter if she has 100,000 followers. Like you said, she can have 100,000 followers and do travel. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Cool. What kind of traveling? Are we traveling and we showing different things? Or are we traveling to different parties to do different things?
Bottles.
You know what I mean? Because I think about everything. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think about everything. I'm like, man, this is the future mother to my kid. This is how I think about stuff. You know what I mean?
I dated someone in that space before.
How was it?
You trying to get some content today?
I just asked the question. I just asked the question.
So here's what I'll say. Right, the thing about and this doesn't apply to everyone. I'm just gonna, because people like to get in the comments and just say stuff just based on snippets. Right?
It doesn't apply to everybody.
It doesn't apply to everybody. This doesn't apply to all women. It doesn't apply to all Instagram models or whatever, right? The issue that I had in my experience is that when someone is in the business of selling either their bodies or a representation of their bodies, right? There's this pressure for this physical presentation that sometimes appears in the weirdest ways in real life. I'll give you an example. So I was dating this person that was, modeling online, and every place that we went to required a selfie. Okay? Because those individuals, they either make a living or they create their influence based on, what they look like. So whenever there's an opportune moment to create content, to create an image of themselves that they can sell or demonstrate later, they're going to take it upon themselves to do so. So there's selfies all the time. Right?
Wow. Yeah, see, I couldn't handle that. I'm already out the game.
Yeah. So there's that, right? I'm not saying everybody does this. The other thing is there's some levels of insecurities that come with their looks that requires them to invest a lot into maintaining an appearance.
Oh man.
Right?
Preaching to the choir. Yeah.
You're talking about hairdos, you're talking about clothing. So there's a lot of expenses that go into those things that that are often uncontrollable because they have to maintain this look. There's a pressure, right? To do that.
Yes.
And the third thing, there's more things, but the third thing I'll mention, because I don't want to go into too much into the weeds, and this is just an opinion based on personal experience, so don't drag me for this, okay? I find that women who model online, not all modeling, but certain types of Instagram models, the one that are a little bit more provocative, the ones that like show a little bit more, they're not as how do I say this? They don't necessarily, I don't know how to portray it. It's kind of like if you're a guy and you're with a woman and you guys are sexual and romantic, a lot of what you do with her and what you've seen is no longer really private, right? So I'll give you an example, right? I was dating this woman and we were in my apartment and we had just finished being intimate, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember, I don't know if it was that same day or a couple days later, she had posted on Instagram, right? Okay. A sexy image of herself. And I was
Interesting.
And I was looking at this image and I'm like, isn't that my bedroom? And I'm like, those are my sheets. Did you take this picture right after we finish? Like, what are we talking about right now? And I was tight. I was livid. I was like, no, it's art. This ain't it. Right? I'm telling you, but that's my experience, right? Yeah, your jaw just dropped. Okay? So bottom line, again, that's my experience. I'm sure other people have had, different dynamics, but that's just something that I'm mindful of given my particular experience. But it's not everybody, right?
It's not for everybody, and it's nothing wrong with that.
Your face though.
Yeah, nah. I mean, yeah, you like that. See, this is my problem. It's like you can't take a picture in my bedroom and post it online, and you didn't even send it to me. Like, what's going on here? Like,
even if she did send it to you,
me, that doesn't even make sense.
Even if she did send it to you, what value is it that it's now out?
Right. Her posting the picture is it's wild. We already agree.
Wild.
But it's like you literally clicked this picture and you didn't even think about me. You thought about your post.
It was a sexy picture though, but I wasn't with it. But that's what I'm saying, right? So those things you have to take into consideration. So romantic life aside, has social media impacted you personally outside of your romantic life, like friendships and like family and stuff like that?
Yes, in some cases, yeah. I would say that it was certain people that I didn't know really kept up with me.
What do you mean?
And it's like I didn't know they really like followed the show and gained like some kind of respect to the point where they started acting different. And I was just like, okay, this is new, and this is because of the show.
Okay.
Family, not so much. I think my family is more proud than anything. Uh-huh. They're not treating me like, any kind of like celebrity or anything like that.
Okay.
But I would say social media has affected more me than any other group in my life.
What do you mean?
And here's why. And I think it's because when you're in the space of hearing some people's problems and hearing what people go through and seeing how they are affected by certain things they just can't control, either just them growing up dynamic, even social media, they can't control some things. And you kind of see the good and then you see a lot of the bad too.
Yeah. And
it was one of those things where you kind of have to put things in perspective, especially if you're trying to be the good example, or trying to be a light in the darkness. It's kind of added pressure on you to sustain that, It's not like, and I'm not comparing, I'm not trying to be blasphemous. I'm just trying to give good examples so y'all can see where I'm coming from.
Why do I feel like I know what you're about to say?
It's not like being a pastor where you have to be like you have that kind of level of responsibility.
Okay.
But you got to make sure that you are practice what you're preaching and you're being the good example, because people don't forget. We see people, preach one way and live a life a completely different way.
I thought you were about to mention names just now.
I'm not mentioning no names. Come on, I'm a professional.
All right, there's a person by initials DJ.
Listen, I'm not saying anything.
Look it up.
But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Period.
Got it.
But also, it's not even about. It's really just like, if you're going to say these stuff online, you gotta really practice what you got to really be about that life. And then so you kind of have that added pressure, and then you hear and see some of the things in society that just doesn't look good for the future.
Yeah. And
it was really a lot of weight I put on myself mentally. Like, man, like there's a lot of issues I see here, and I know kind of like my life can be an example and can be a light to the darkness. But what if I screw up? What if I make a mistake here? What if I do this? And so now it's like I'm getting affected where I'm like, man, I'm turning around. Oh, there's thousands of men following me.
Oh, wow.
There's thousands
they're
of
hanging
men
on. They're hanging on
my voice.
They're hanging on to your words and they're following your movements.
Yes,
and and your perceived failure has a bigger impact than if you were just a man moving.
You don't want to let those guys down. It's not even about just like screwing up for whatever. It's just like, I don't want to be like, oh man, we can't believe in nobody.
You know
what I mean?
That
like,
messes with your psyche.
Yeah, it's like you want those guys to have some kind of hope. And I'm not saying they should put their hope in me. I'm just a man. But you do want to be like, hey, as you're following me, you know I'm trying my best to follow God. Okay. So like, don't put your hope in me, put your hope in God. But at the same time, I'm still have to walk in the right direction too.
Yeah.
I can't be like, hey, put your hope in God as I go this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And God doesn't have an Instagram account, or does he?
Oh, no, or does he? That's a magical question.
But okay, so it seems like your influence is impacting the way you move in the world in the most positive way, and it's created a certain amount of pressure, right?
You're in a fishbowl. You're in a fishbowl.
Okay.
Because everybody, you don't know who knows you. Yeah. You don't know who's watching you.
Yeah.
Like, even if I go work out, I'd be sitting sometimes like, man, I just want to sit down a little bit longer. But I know it's a possibility that somebody trying to see what I'm doing in here. You know, so it's like, you still got to be the example, which is fine.
Paparazzi's everywhere.
Nah, ain't no paparazzi, ain't nothing like that. You know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, you try to make sure that you're leading well, you know. Yeah. And by the grace of God, I had some experience with being in the fishbowl, like even when I was an RA on campus. Got it. Like, obviously you're not famous, but people know who you are, and you're supposed to be the example to the freshmen. Yeah. You know, quote unquote.
So you're used to leading in some capacity. Right.
So yeah, I'm used to leading in some capacity, you know. So it was more of like, it wasn't a huge adjustment. It was more of like, okay, like it's not just blacks, it's Hispanics, it's whites, it's it's in Dallas, it's in New York, it's in Atlanta, you know, it's in Houston, it's in LA, it's in London now, it's in Nigeria. It's like, you know, these people are really following me and really invested in my life. Yeah. You know, and my thoughts of breaking stuff down, what I go through, some wins, some losses, you know, it's kind of like an older brother that these people don't have.
Got it.
You know,
that's how I looked at your podcast when I started following it and consuming the content. Like, I even pushed it to a lot of my other friends. My brother is subscribed to you guys, so we talk about some of the things that you guys talk about on the show, and you know, it definitely impacts people in ways that, you know, you might not even know, even though you're hosting the show, right? There's individuals that are probably going through certain things, individual problems, that they use your content to kind of like for some type of guidance. But even with that pressure that you're receiving, or that you feel like you have to be the right example,